Hi everyone, I'm Steven, and today I'm using cardboard and a wire hanger to make Ronin's sword from Avengers Endgame. If you're curious, please subscribe, like this video, and let's get to it. To start off, print out a picture of Ronin's sword off of Google. His sword is a fancy looking katana, so I looked up the average dimensions of katanas and found out that their blades are between 23 and 5/8 to 28 and 3/4 inches long. To make it look a little bit dramatic, I added a few extra inches, so mine is around 30 inches long. And the handle that I made is around 10 to 11 inches long too. Anyway, you're going to need to cut out the print that you made and tape it onto a large piece of corrugated cardboard. Cut that out and then trace it again so that you have two full cutouts. These will stack on top of each other so that you can build out the sword. So with those two pieces done, you're going to need to trace and cut out the handle 2 times. These 2 pieces will sandwich those longer pieces that you just made. By the way, if your cardboard isn't long enough, you can cut this out in pieces, but just try to keep the blade a solid piece of cardboard so it won't be too flimsy when you carry it around. To give the cardboard sword a little bit more stability, I cut a wire hanger and sandwiched it in between the cardboard with a bunch of hot glue. This is just going to help strengthen the sword and keep it from being too wobbly or easily bendable. So glue the layers of the cardboard together with the wire in the middle layer. Trim off any of the uneven edges. You're going to want all the layers to be flush. After the handle and sword is glued and cooled, I decided to wrap the handle in masking tape to hide all those open sides from the corrugated cardboard. This is just an easy way to get clean looking sides without having to measure more cardboard and then glue it in place to hide those sides. See? Once all that is taped, you can move on to cutting out all of the designs on the handle. The handle is covered in cutout designs, however they didn't really show up on my printout very well, so I'm just using a Sharpie to make the lines darker so it's easier for me to see. Once the lines are drawn, I taped the handle onto 2 pieces of cereal box cardboard that I stacked together using some tape. The reason I'm doing this is because it allows me to cut out 2 identical pieces for each shape for each side of the handle at a much quicker pace. Anything that has a hole, I'm just using a hole punch. I think technically these are where the screws or bolts would need to be on the actual sword, but hole punched holes work for me, and they look fine. As soon as I cut out each shape, I'm going to hot glue it onto the handle immediately because I don't want to lose track of where any of these tiny pieces go. There's going to be a lot of shapes, and this is the part of the build that's pretty time consuming, so just be patient. I'm trying to keep a little gap between the shapes just to give some visual interest on the handle, so if you decide to make this sword, feel free to do that too. Make sure to be patient and work on both sides of the handle at the same time, following the pattern on your printout. Once again, trim off anything that's hanging over the edge. Go slowly so you don't mess anything up. After I glued on all the shapes, I realized that I needed to build out where the blade and the handle meet. To do this, I just took 2 strips of corrugated cardboard for the long sides and hot glued them on, and then the short side just got 1 piece of corrugated cardboard glued on. To make it look smooth, I wrapped it in a strip of cereal box cardboard. With the handle done, it was time to repeat those steps for the blade. I took the printout and taped it onto 2 layers of the flimsy poster board that you can get at the dollar store, so I can cut out both sides at once. You can totally use cereal box cardboard for this step, but I just had this poster board laying around, so that's what I'm going to use. Try to cut it in a nice clean line. Since the blade has a very simple pattern, you're going to end up noticing if any of the lines are super crooked. Actually, I think I need to backtrack and mention that I'm covering up all those open sides with masking tape too. Like I said before, it gives it a clean look and it's quicker than measuring all those different pieces to glue to cover up all the open sides. Okay, so back to the blade. I just cut out the pattern on the blade and then glued each piece down on each side of the blade. I left some room around the sharp portion of the blade, but in hindsight I probably should have just cut it out instead of trying to pinch it together. It got kind of messy and annoyed me for a little bit when I was doing this. But I eventually got it to work, and I cleaned up the edge of the blade by just using some clear tape all along the outside where the sharp portion of the blade would be. I've said this in a few videos before, but I'm just going to use paint to hide any of my mistakes, and hopefully it'll just look intentional. Anyway, Ronin's sword is black and silver, so I'll first give it a coat of black craft paint. The handle will get another coat of black, along with some minor weathering, while the blade is going to be painted entirely in silver craft paint. I'll be doing 2 light coats of silver, so let me do that, and I'll be back with a finished product. So there you have it, Ronin's sword from Avengers Endgame. It's one of the cooler swords that I've seen on screen, so I was really excited to make it. Overall, I like how it looks, although if I was to make this again, I would slip a piece of wood into the handle to make it heavier. Anyway, I like it, and it's definitely a cool weapon to add to the Hawkeye Ronin arsenal. With that said, let me know what you think of the sword in the comments below. I'd love to hear from everyone. I'd also love it if you would subscribe and like this video. Thanks for watching, and see you soon, everyone. Bye-bye. Hawkeye thinks he's so cool he can change his name to Ronin and get away with it.